Good evening and welcome to our March 16th meeting, school board meeting for Southwestern City School District. This is our only meeting of the month because we have spring break. So it's a lot to cover on the agenda, but we will get through it. Can we please rise for the pledge?
Of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That is the sheet I was looking for. All righty. Can we please call the meeting to order and have roll call?
Mrs. Alcar, Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Here.
Dr. Dillon.
Here.
Ms. Liskini.
Here.
Mrs. Peterson.
Here. Moving along, we're gonna do an adoption of tonight's agenda. Can I get a motion?
Yes, so move D'Angelo Steele. Sure, why not?
Can I get a second?
Second, okay.
Any discussion for tonight's agenda? Hearing none, can I get roll call?
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Mrs. Alcar,
Yes.
Dr. Dillon.
Yes.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. Now we're going to adopt our meeting minutes. Can I please get a motion for us to adopt our meeting minutes from the February 23rd meeting?
So moved, Liskini.
And the 24th, that's right. That's the month that it was two meetings in one. Back to back with our snow day. So it's this February 23rd and the 24th, which the 24th was our OSBA training. You got your first, can I get a second?
Second, Dillon.
Any discussion or questions on the meeting minutes from the board members? Hearing none, roll call.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Dr. Dillon.
Yes.
Mrs. Alcar,
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. We are officially off of those broken down snow days. We might just get blown away though, the way the wind is happening. Now we are going to move along into our agenda under presentations, and we're going to have a school spotlight from Park Street Intermediate with Ms. Ketchum.
Good evening, President Peterson, Vice President Liskini, members of the board, Mr. Banks and Mr. Garside. I'm Betsy Ketchum, the principal at Park Street Intermediate School, and I'm thrilled to stand before you this evening to talk about our school and especially why good things happen there. You will see how our dedicated staff and most importantly, our motivated students are working together to achieve high levels of academic excellence and a strong sense of belonging. Thank you for your tireless support and a commitment to all of our schools. Our commitment to rigorous academics is reflected in our recent performance. We are incredibly proud that Park Street Intermediate School achieved a 4-star rating on the Ohio State report card. This outstanding achievement is a direct result of our commitment to a targeted intervention program, specifically MTSS, with a focus on small group instruction this year. Our teachers use data-driven insights to personalize support in both literacy and math. The 4-star rating validates the hard work of our students and the dedication of our staff, confirming that their efforts have led to a measurable success. Our 6th graders showed truly remarkable growth. They scored 27th in the entire state out of over 1,000 schools in their growth on the math OST last spring. For the English language arts test, their growth was equally impressive, achieving 21st in the state. Furthermore, 50% of our students achieved a score of 6 or higher, which is out of 10, on the writing portion of the ELA test. The high expectations and rigor set by our staff are clearly reflected in this significant student achievement. We offer many opportunities at Park Street for students to build their sense of belonging. Seen here are two of our Math Counts advisors, and they are holding the district competition trophy. This group of students meets bi-weekly where they play math games, build their number sense, do challenge problems, culminating in our district competition, which they have won the trophy for the last 2 years and are hoping for a three-peat next month. The Rocks group, which is facilitated by our school counselor, Deidre Muse, has cohorts of both 5th and 6th grade girls participating, which is a program that supports girls in being successful in their academics, their relationships in life, by building their confidence with an evidence-based curriculum. The last picture shows our crochet club, which is new this year at Park Street. It is extremely popular. We have a wait list of students wanting to join. At their last meeting, they hosted a local business, Alpine Blue Stitches. They came out and did a demonstration with the students where they learned how to spin their own yarn. They used 3D spindles made from a 3D printer. So it was a pretty cool opportunity. Last year, we were able to implement the house system at Park Street, which has helped create a small school feeling. This gives each student and staff member a team, a color, a crest, and a cheer that is unique to them. We kick this off in the fall with our sorting day, which you can see kids are very excited about. We lined them up outside and they ran over to their house. It was a very exciting event to kick this off, but it can help prevent the where do I fit in anxiety that sometimes students experience when they're transitioning to a new school at the beginning of the year. Students combine monthly to do family groups where they participate in meaningful activities. Our 6th graders will help lead these activities. The program also gamifies positive behavior with our students, where they collectively earn house points for things like being kind to one another or having a growth mindset in hopes of winning the house cup at the end of the school year. Many of our 5th graders also take walking field trips. We are very close to the Bostic Center where they have preschool buddies and they're able to share a love of learning where they read with one another, they make crafts, and sometimes even enjoy snack time. Both groups of students really enjoy this activity. Phys Ed class is always a favorite with our Timberwolves, which is taught by Julie Buechner. There's a lot of excitement this winter with the Olympics going on. You can see that Julie brought in curling stones for our students to try, which of course no ice required for this curling game. She even built her own bobsleds and designed a speed skate competition for the kids. The competition was intense, engagement was very high. She's always looking for new activities and ways to engage all of our students. Every fall, we host a curriculum night, which this year we had over 400 participants, including students, families, staff members, and community organizations. Families with their kiddo are able to tour the building, meet the teachers, participate in learning games in the classroom, see student work samples, and meet with several community organizations who can provide resources for our families. Jessica Shirley is our art teacher. This is her 2nd year. Every month she puts up a monthly display, and you can see our latest one is here, which is picture number 2. These incorporate student-led designs, and every month the kids come up with a proposal. Staff get to vote on the winning design, and then students collaborate on creating each element of the design. There is much anticipation to see what the winning design is and the new display for the month. but it's an incredible way to incorporate student voice and see their just amazing creativity. Jess has really increased our school spirit at Park Street, and it's incredible to just see all of the self-portraits hanging in our hallways. They sewed their own squishmallows. They've made mini graffiti walls. There's just artwork everywhere, and it's been a joy to see. With the entire staff, which you can see here, so hard at work. There are many wonderful and good things happening at Park Street. I can't wait to see what the future will bring. Thank you.
Any questions? I like the preschool buddies. It's like, that's a cute name.
I just wanted to say that I think it's great to see the SEL and the arts and the kinesthetic learning, because with scores like you're getting, you know, a lot of people think that teaching is just sitting and talking to the kids and they take everything you get, but you have their whole bodies moving, you have them interested in what they're learning. I think that's great.
Thank you. I do have a question. I was wondering if you could share a little bit about your small group instruction that you mentioned, and then how that kind of relates to your increase maybe in your math scores.
Absolutely. Our TBTs, teacher-based teams, have worked very hard this year to examine data based on the needs of all of our students. And then with that, they're able to tailor instruction, and they target specific groups of students where they can focus on a certain standard maybe that this group of students needs to work on leading up to the state test. And it's a constant cycle of data examination and then regrouping kids and working to meet their and tailor their needs.
Excellent. And I'm just curious which house is in the lead.
So great question. Oh, okay, it's Revert. It's Revert. Thank you.
Are you in a house too?
I am. I'm in Amistad. Yes.
Very competitive.
We even have our bus drivers in houses, so
Oh.
everyone is involved. Yeah.
Great.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving along, is there any board reports? Only board report I have is Southwestern Education Foundation is still taking applications to come in to be a board trustee. So please take a look, spread the word. That is a way for individuals in the community to get involved and learn more about the Education Foundation and what they do for the district and the students and our teachers with the grants. So love that group. Please take a look and help spread the word to apply or submit a resume. All right, we're going to move along. Our next area is public participation relative to agenda items. We have one signed up, and that is Joseph Harris.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. As I'm sure you're aware by this point, I'm Joseph Harris Sr. On the Ohio School Boards Association website, under the Understanding the Role of the School Board page, it says the board is a policy-making body and members are the chief advisors to the superintendent on community attitudes. I noticed on board docs the cornucopia of new policies, revised policies, and rescinded policies that were posted on Friday, and that would be a first reading tonight. There are a total of 34. And all the Board of Education meetings that I've attended in this district, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think that I've ever heard a public discussion about any of the specific policies being changed. Since we've already established that the primary function of an elected school board is to set policy for the district, not infrequently in similar school districts, the actual policies are made in a policy committee that is not subject to the public records laws and Open Meetings Act, because it's not technically a board committee, but rather an administrative committee. and consequently, the meetings are not open to the public and detailed meeting minutes are not made available. I'm hopeful that since this will be the first reading of policy changes by this new board, that we might actually hear about what you're going to be voting on at a future meeting, at least a synopsis of each policy change, why the change is necessary, and briefly hear your individual thoughts, even if they're just like, I think this is good or I think this is bad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving along to student and staff achievement report, I'm going to turn it over to Chelsea Alpine.
Thank you, President Anderson. We have 3 items to talk about for student achievement and 1 for staff. Congratulations to Westland High School's Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Premier Team on advancing to the regional playoffs in this year's sponsored season of Esports Ohio. Competing in a 36-team region, the team finished the regular season with a 5-4 record, earning the 10th seed and securing a spot among the top 12 teams. They competed remotely after school in their opening playoff match against the 7th-seeded Highland High School. Congratulations to Franklin Heights High School Orchestra for reaching a historic milestone at the OMEA State Orchestra Contest, earning a superior rating, the first in the program's history. The ensemble received straight superior ratings from all 4 judges, a distinction shared by only 2 other groups. Congratulations to the Grove City High School NJROTC drill team on an outstanding performance at the Area 14 Midwest Drill Meeting Championship at Pike High School in Indianapolis, where they earned 2nd place overall out of 13 teams, highlighted by 2nd in armed exhibition drill, 3rd in color guard, athletic and unarmed exhibition drill, 4th in academic unarmed drill and armed drill, and 5th in uniform inspection. Individually, the cadets earned top honors across multiple events, including 1st and 4th in drone, strong finishes in academic, PT, and individual drill, with Cadet Olivia Beeman capturing 1st place in armed individual drill out of more than 400 cadets, and Cadet Matt Ahrensberg and Cadet John Ahrensberg placing 1st and 2nd in the sit-ups competition. This marks the team's best finish in many years and an improvement over last year's 4th place finish. And for staff, congratulations to Westland High School's boys basketball coach, Joel Jackson, who has been named the 2025-2026 OCC Coach of the Year. Jackson led the Cougars to a 2nd place OCC finish and a place in the 2026 District Finals Region 3 game. Congratulations to Coach Jackson on this all OCC honor.
Thank you. Go Cougars. All righty, moving along. Items for action under fiscal and operation. I am going to turn it over to Dr. Kelly Dillon.
Okay, we have quite a few items. First is, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the revised permanent appropriations, CX1 on board docs. It is also recommended that in accordance with section 135.14 of the Ohio Revised Code, the Board of Education approve February investments, CX2, and cash position report for the month of February 2026, CX3, as submitted. It is also recommended that the Board of Education approve payment of bills according to the list of checks for the month of February 2026, CX4. We received a total amount of donations, CX5 of $8,016.86, and we thank all those who think of the district in their donations. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize the treasurer to pay bills for February which were not processed in accordance with section 5705.41 of Ohio Revised Code. It is also recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the County Budget Commission as presented in X7. This is an annual requirement to accept the assessed values and tax rates that have been voted upon within our district. It's basically a check and balance to make sure that the county auditor and our district agree with the information that is provided. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the resolution to adopt the NIST Cybersecurity Framework as presented, CX8. This is due to House Bill 96, that every district must formally adopt a cybersecurity platform to mitigate the risk of cyber attacks. The adoption of the NIST Cybersecurity Framework meets this requirement as set forth by law. And our district has actually been ahead of the state in this, and we have adopted a platform like this since 2023. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the attached College Credit Plus Memorandum of Understanding with Columbus State Community College for the 2026-2027 school year CX9. Since the start of College Credit Plus, the district has had a Memorandum of Understanding, or an MOU, in place every year with Columbus State to provide our students with access to college credit courses. Madam President, after reviewing these items, I would like to move them for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second, Liskini.
Any discussion?
I have a quick question on the payment of bills in section 3. I noticed that we're paying a Burger and Grade on this for the month of February for about $50,000 for the month. Is that a common occurrence for Burger and Grade on to be about $50,000 a month for legal fees, or is this a summary of a few months that they didn't bill for in the negotiation process?
That was part of the negotiation process.
Okay,
Higher than normal.
thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, hearing none, roll call?
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire,
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. Now I'm gonna turn it back over to Dr. Dillon for another area that has to be presented and approved separately. Dr. Dillon, I'm passing it back to you.
So this is looking to approve the resolutions to file complaints against the valuation of real property taxes for tax year 2025. So it's important that all properties within our district are correctly valued by our county auditor to ensure that every property owner is paying their fair share and does not shift the overall tax liability to other property owners whose properties are valued correctly. So due to the enactment of House Bill 126, we are required to follow additional procedures to contest property tax values that the district considers to be inaccurate. The first step is to pass a resolution here that provides the property owner's name and parcel numbers in question. Each property owner then is notified via U.S. mail that a resolution will be presented for a vote at a meeting. The passage of the resolution allows us to contest those values of property in question, but it doesn't guarantee that that will be changed. Madam President, after reviewing this item, I would like to move it for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second, Alkire.
Discussion?
I have another question on these ones. I see Children's Hospital and Ohio Health are in here. I remember a couple years ago when there was a situation with Mount Carmel and there was gave money, like a couple $1 million they shouldn't have, so we had to give it back. That's not gonna happen again.
No.
Okay,
That's
This
not,
is all-
that's not.
okay, this is separate. Okay.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire,
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Mrs. Liskini,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. All righty. Now we're moving along to items for action with policy, and I'm turning it over to Board Member Denise D'Angelo Steele.
Thank you. Yes, and Ms. Peterson and I are both on this policy committee. Yes, we have 7 new policies, 3 deleted, 4 rescinded policies, 2 replacement policies, and 22 revised policies. I believe if I counted up that all correctly, it was a quick hour and a half. It was like 2 hours. Right, we're going to move and then we'll have discussion about them, or do we discuss them and then?
We'll make a motion. Second, and then I can.
And then we can open for discussion, talk about them. So I move these for passage. Can I get a second?
Can I get a second?
Second, Dylan.
Discussion.
I know I wanted to talk on a few of these. One for sure was the 7540.09. It's the AI policy. You know, I remember one of the first times AI became a discussion here for the board about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. One of the first policies they passed, and I was really concerned about that, bringing AI into it. I was like, how's this going to be used? And of course, since then, some laws have changed and the third party uses it, apps and stuff have changed with the times, which is really great. But I kind of want to get everyone's viewpoint on what they feel with the AI policy and if you guys are comfortable with it or anything. So I just kind of want to open that one up, starting for discussion. Anybody have any thoughts on?
As a media professor, I think it's incredibly important that we provide opportunities for our students that are going to eventually join the 21st century workforce, that they have the literacy skills in those 21st century tools. I also do appreciate that the state has given districts different options of what to include in their policy. Of particular is the ethical use of AI. And I mean, ethics is broad, and I believe that our district does a really good job of helping our students become good global citizens and understand what it is to work and live in an ethical world. And putting together not just a policy in words, but a policy in practice. And we can be a leader in AI literacy. And AI is not as new as we would think it would be. A lot of, for example, my son is taking a pre-college algebra course and it's self-paced learning. Embedded in that is artificial intelligence figuring out what he needs to learn and what he already knows. So it is a big, scary world. And in terms of how rapidly this is advancing, but these policies are incredibly important and timely. And I think, especially as we bring in professional development for our educators, but as well as our staff and administrators that may have to rely on artificial intelligence to help them do their jobs, that professional development is also incredibly important.
Technology isn't going anywhere. It's just continuing to grow. What's been interesting is at the same time we're working on this, and I agree with Kelly, putting the framework and the policy to support around AI. My job, AI is everywhere. We just now started in our payroll system. AI is incorporated into it. Our new database system that's only 2 years in, I sit on that for the technical pieces of it, and doing the logistics of it. I'm a licensed social worker and I became in 2 years a tech person. But what's interesting is the new upgrade that they're getting ready to release is the AI feature to our database system that we document in. So it is absolutely amazing at how fast it is coming about and really starting to be incorporated into the workforce. And so, of course, I was asking a lot of questions from case management standpoint for charting and documenting of client charts. So it is definitely going at a pace in policy and frameworks around it, because I'm starting to bring that up with my own job about what's the framework around it to support it.
I just think it's also nice to have the policy in place so there is wording out there, because the policy covers, using it for accessibility for students with disabilities. It talks about how admin and teachers and everybody should be using it. It's not just focused on the students. So I think it's something that will be very helpful moving forward when we're trying to navigate more AI.
And we want to make sure that this doesn't become another unfunded mandate where we say this is another thing that students can or cannot do. We need to lead by example. And within this new policy is also that non-academic use of AI. That if a reasonable, you shouldn't be using AI to misrepresent individuals, whether they be on the Board of Education or in the community, staff, other students as well. And there are more more bills at the State House that are working their way through that sausage factory that will attach to maybe even the name, image, likeness, which is another policy that I know you're bringing forward. So it's the not just when you should use it, when you shouldn't use it, and the ethical use of it, but helping our teachers and our staff and administrators incorporate it ethically, and use it to help educate not just the students on AI, but educate them in their subject specific areas.
Did you add anything, or were they covering it? Okay, I was like, maybe we touched on it, because I know it was, not only with these policies, and I know, we've done this before, it's illogical, right? Like, can it be implemented? And I know, Dr. Lesher and Bowser and like the whole crew, they are educating staff in, working together and forming a team to, I just lost all train of thought, you know what you're doing. To make sure that everybody is ready for the AI, because you can't prepare for AI, but they are right on the back end doing all they can on the staff side to be ready, because whatever we think we know, the kids already know it and know how to go around it. So in order to try to stay somewhat relative, we've got to know a little bit about what's happening. So it's good.
Because we have this new policy in place, and that was one of my questions that I said earlier in the week, just about the curriculum piece of it. When we're saying, students are expected to develop their own knowledge, skills, and understanding of course material, that kind of thing. How are we going to be incorporating that with current curriculum so that it's not, up to the student? Or I guess I'm just wondering how we're going to incorporate that. I don't mean to put anybody on the spot, but I think it's just.
So I think it's very fair. So this policy, obviously this is the new piece, but we have had AI policies that we've integrated as part of the student code of conduct, and I think we referenced those.
Yes.
So what Dr. Bowser's engaged in right now with Josh Duran and a couple of key stakeholders. Now we have the guardrails. Now we're working on what you said, this integration of those skill sets. Years ago we had digital literacy standards that were kind of like a ladder you'd put on. Well, we're thinking about this differently. And so the policies give us the guardrails, and then our process is to work closely with that committee to be able to support what that looks like. I would say these are very explicit, because you're talking about ethics, you're talking about, cognitive output versus, using resources. So that's that next layer. So it gives us the guardrails, and then we'll work collaboratively with that committee to develop those more granular pieces and how we integrate.
And I'm assuming that committee is also thinking about like the data security of the information that.
So Rob Moore, are you still here? Okay, so Rob and I work really closely on this. So to your point, this has been part of our work. This is my 5th year here, and this has been at the focus of a lot of the work that we've done as we think about the integration of whether it's resources, courses of study, any of the things that we do that are also student specific. You talked around this, but when we look at student sensitive information, and some of the day-to-day professional work, so think of HIPAA and FERPA, those are really we want to make sure we keep folks out of harm's way with that. So that's exactly where we are at this point. Can you stop coughing? Okay, but yeah, so how I would think about this is that, we work as a policy committee to look at what obviously the model policies are, make sure that language is explicit. So those are our guardrails. And in some ways you're thinking about this, how to keep people out of harm's way. A lot of times we do things out of really good intention and earnest intention, but it's, we have to follow those guardrails, and then we work with our team to integrate those protocols. That's kind of where we are right now.
And for those that are watching at home or here with us with AI, whatever you're feeding into it is going to be used for the future, not just only for interactions that you're having with an AI agent, whether it's Claude, ChatGPT, AI within Microsoft, for example, Copilot, or Google's, because we're a Google Classroom. It's also going to feed into what other people might use, and if you have a prompt, it's going to go into that prompt library. So it's not just ethical use of the individual, the person who's making the query for artificial intelligence, but it's also understanding the impact of how you are sharing your own thoughts and data with, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, and that product is your data, your words that you're feeding into that language learning model. So it's those guardrails that, yes, we don't want you to plagiarize. We don't want you to use it, to bully or mock other people, but it's also, this is your role in this industry, because that's really what it is. And it's a data-driven industry, and helping students understand their privacy rights as a minor beyond HIPAA and FERPA is that's a really great use of AI, is to help them understand that data sensitivity and what is out there about them, even though it may not be specifically tied to them.
Mm-hmm. And it costs more money when you're polite to AI.
Yes.
So, yep, you get different responses if you're being nasty or if you're polite. So I read about that recently. Nasty.
Don't say please.
Yeah. So yes, so thank you for that discussion on the 75409. Do we well? I have a couple other discussions on some of the policies. Another one is the policy 5200, the attendance one. This is one I know Camille that I was like, oh, okay, and then I've just had multiple phone calls in the last few days kind of relating to attendance, and I was like, you know what, policy's coming up, let's just have a conversation about it and see. It's not really clear cut in this policy as to how many days you can miss with excuses or medical appointments. It's kind of a abstract kind of conversation. It doesn't say clear cut in there. Okay, like it does say like if you miss 5% or so many hours, you consider truant or this and that without reasonable excuses. But it doesn't have, like, oh, well, what if I'm doing all the college visits and I did all the driver's ed courses and I'm missing so many, 3 periods of school a day versus 5 days. I don't know if there is a way that we can get more clarity with that in here.
So this is a longer conversation.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
There's a few more questions in there too, but
So House Bill 410
right
was what we were operating under, which had provisions for attendance. We've now ushered to House Bill 96. And so the state of Ohio has set a different threshold when we look at attendance, right? So it's a push for compulsory education. We all know that if kids come to school, they're going to be more academically successful, correct? So the state has changed those trigger points to 5% and 10% when you look at chronically absent and habitually failing. And that requires us as a district to communicate that to families. So for us, the trigger point will be this. It'll be automated. It's going to come out from the district. Thank you, Rob Moore and your team. We've been working on this for about 18 months. But essentially when a student gets to 5 days, our 5% is about 7 days and some change. So at 5 days, there'll be a notification to families. Now, we'll get into the weeds of whether this is excused, unexcused, it's medical, it's a college visit, it's a military visit, those kinds of things. But really the impetus of this is the policy itself follows this change in state law from House Bill 410 to 96, and that we now are required to use that trigger point of 5% and 10% to communicate and then take action to support students in their ability to attend school and then remove those barriers. The good news is that we've partnered with Franklin County for many years as we look at attendance at our high schools. You know some of those staff members. Dr. Shuey, I was at the meeting with them and they're just very invested in the work that's happening here. We also utilized our ESSER dollars to create those attendance liaisons and some of our support team members that support student attendance. So what I would say is, although the trigger points have changed, our processes are intact. What you'll feel that's different will be communication that comes from the district level because you're not required to do that. I mean it as a joke, but we all remember Ferris Bueller and they were like 9 times. Well, when we get to 5 days, whatever the reason, you're going to get that notification like you would if you had like, a deficit in your lunch balance. I think the biggest shift will be that in our mindset, we thought that students got just 9 days. For whatever reason, it was sort of this, we have to reframe our thinking because the state no longer gives us that latitude. We certainly will look at those situations case by case, and there we'll have a lot more conversation as a team, but opting the policy is the first step in adhering to the new triggers, which are 5% and 10%. That makes sense?
Total sense.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, hold on.
That's what I was about to say with the 9 days and thinking about it when we were talking about it. A lot of these policies, just to be able to share. First, our committee met on February 23rd before that board meeting, and it is several policies coming forward for you for a first reading. Some of these things that they are being brought forward for a first reading for change is because of wording change, because of state rules and Ohio revised codes. And so some of it is adherence type corrections and word fixtures to policies. And then some are others that are naturally we have to implement. So I just want to put that out there. That is why there's so many, but it's also the first reading because of that, because there is some things that have been changed that we have to change the wording in our policy to be in compliance. This policy too for attendances, I think of it as a way to say, not everybody's gonna fall in that category. There is things that are gonna happen where a child needs to be absent from school, but it's supposed to help catch early and address what we all are constantly saying we want to figure out how to work towards the absenteeism. And so this is a start. Just like you get that alert, this is that flag that is going up. And so they're tightening that in to be able to help get that started. Yes, it's going to be a change for many, but I think it's a good change so that we start flagging the reasons early versus the ones that we know are not doing it for chronic reasons that's not excusable.
Definitely. Which brings me to another one that is a change from our previous, because this is a revised policy. We already have 5200, but it brings me to another difference I saw in the current 5200 and the new proposed one. I didn't notice this before. It came up again. This was a question I had recently about release days or religious holidays. And I see in this new policy, it says that you have to have those religious days at the beginning of the school year, within like 14 days of the school year starting. I didn't know, because I know a lot of students are requesting religious days off right now. I didn't know if you guys think that's a good idea to have it be, is there a reason why we want to have it? You have to do it within the beginning of the year, pick your religious holidays, or if it's something that's like, we actually can do it throughout the year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the policy, that's been what was handed to us essentially in terms of just timing, so it's manageable. But what I would say is that our building principals have done a very good job of working case by case with students. And I think the big piece there is less about the timeline per se and more about making sure that it doesn't impact the instructional time.
Right.
And so that's what they do.
Right. And so that's why I didn't know if we wanted to take that 14-day restriction out of this or not as a board. I mean, something we can think about. You can look it over for next time, but
I think we would make sure that we're not taking out something that the state requires us to have in the policy. Plus, we have plenty of students who maybe transfer in partly through the year, and they will have already passed that.
Right. Sorry, not to interrupt, but that does take that into account. It's 14 days after the student is enrolled in the district. So it's either 14 days after the start of the school year or 14 days. So that's,
I see.
Yeah, and that's kind of adds to my point about that request off. You know, maybe a new person to the district doesn't know that that is our policy. Mm-hmm. I could cross-reference it with the Ohio Revised Code, but I didn't think I had the 14 days in Ohio Revised Code.
If it's not in, maybe having a general 14 days before the excused religious
Just the holiday?
absence.
Yeah, that's good.
As that, changes from calendar year to calendar year. As long as the state doesn't say you must say X, Y, and Z. I would think 2 weeks prior to a religious absence, it's coming down the pike, it's on the calendar. That might be a good policy, a good in between.
That's what I was thinking as well. So I can cross-reference that too. All right, I think we're good on 5200. You have more questions about the policy or the attendance one? I think we're in that one. And then the last policy I want to touch base on was the policy 2260 and .01. They were in the year 2026, and I do believe in the non-discrimination policy and why we have it. I think it's really important. I think you should not discriminate against anybody ever for any reasons. I'm just a little sad about how there's a list. I feel like as a district, we have some policies because we've been sued or something's happened, some legal thing has happened. And I think sometimes when you create a list, you tend to exclude people. And I don't think you should ever exclude anybody. I think all means all. So I didn't know. I do believe Ohio Revised Code, they end up putting the whole list in there. I'm referencing a lot of codes. I'm gonna get them all mixed up right now. But so I don't know. So I just want to, kind of have it on the record just to cover our own that with any lists that are created to non-exclude, again, every time you create a list, you're going to leave somebody out. And I don't know. I hope everybody is included in this list when it comes to we're not going to discriminate against. And so I don't know if that's something we want to think about or leave it all in there and hope for the best in the future.
If I can just offer, the reason we're updating this is because those operational definitions, if you will, of those classifications come from federal law, which is where you see all the Ohio Revised Code and all those pieces referenced. So this will probably not be the last time you see this policy because they will continue to update those. It's kind of like I always say, vocabulary is fluid, language is fluid, it changes. And so as operational definitions adjust, so too must our policy.
Perhaps if we are permitted legally, we can say to include but not limited to. And that kind of gives us that out in case, perhaps political ideology can be included in this. We want to make sure that we don't discriminate against someone who thinks differently than we do politically. That's not, specifically included in that.
Mhm.
But we would want to make sure that we are not biased in that way. So it could be included but not limited to. As long as we're legally permitted to put in language like that, that would kind of cast a wider net.
And we are too. I think we'll
Put a note.
next to do. Does anybody else have any other policies they want to discuss?
I have one suggestion, and I don't know how doable this is not being on the policy committee, but similar to when we say we're going to executive session or the financial policies due to this House bill or due to Ohio Revised Code X, Y, or Z, maybe, especially when we're bringing in a first or a second reading, helping us understand, like, due to a new House bill, we now have to, not just we're required legally to have a first and a second reading, but this is why we're revising things. It wasn't just taken, somebody decided on a whim, let's change this. And I think that would really go far in terms of educating our community as to the origin of most of these. I mean, I myself, as I presented beforehand, before I became part of the board, that was one of my questions, like, where is this coming from? Why aren't we actually reading it? Well, it would take us a very long time to read all of these.
Yeah,
right?
yes. And
and knowing the origin of them, saying this came out of the policy committee, or this came out of a recommendation, or it came down from up high, that would be helpful.
It would, and I apologize. I have been on this policy committee for a couple of years now. And when I very first meetings talking about policy committee, I did make that statement as to where these camps come from. But I can see the benefit of saying it every single time of why we're going over these policies. We use Neola for policies, and Neola, yes, we use Neola. I don't know why OSBA just looked through my head. OSBA, I think earlier. OSBA drops their policies 4 times a year. I'm an advocate for OSBA policies. I can say that now. Trustee, I couldn't promote OSBA items previously, but Neola does it twice a year. It's twice a year or as needed, I believe. And then, of course, with how the state and federal government works, if they're going to go in and change something, you know, we tend to, when I say we, I think the senior crew tend to like to do things kind of all at the same time. If we were to get together every single time a policy dropped, it could be kind of often. Every time the state would change on high rise code, that would be often. But Neola kind of bundles everything up in a nice package and says, here, try to take a look at these. And with the rescinded policies, I mean, some are just out of date. The wording was too far off. We can't even salvage some of them. So we have to have new ones. So that's on me. Like I said, I don't get any assistance with my policy section. So sometimes I forget to, that there's other things to put out there. So I'll do better on that, letting folks know. And when you click on them, I'm clicking on them. When you go in and look at our policies, they're all on the website, and you'll see where it says on there why it's happening, right? Like it's legal, OSHA changed something, or it's going to give you every Ohio Vice Code it goes to. One thing that I know Dr. Lesher is really great at is letting us know why we have 17 sometimes of the same thing. It's because it's contractual. You have your SWA, SWE, and OPSI contracts. So when you change one, you've got to change them all with a lot of them. So they're kind of, it might seem repetitive and a lot, but in actuality, it's one thing that changed. We have to change all of them at the same time. So I hope that adds some clarity there, but it's definitely, when you look at the policies and you're, going through them, you see why it is what it is. But it's, I'm learning that Ohio Vice Code is fluid. Here's your bones and here's what you can do with it. And it's great that as a board, it is one of our responsibilities is to go through the policies and just double check them all. But Dr. Lesher's crew does such a great job. It's like, here it is.
And if I could just add, since we're kind of talking about, just giving some context, when we look at our policy committee, it really, and these people aren't getting like paid extra money to do this. This is, we have representation from SWIA, and they add a very important perspective to the work. Also representation from our OPSI members, and their leadership is very critical. We also have representation from our administration. And so when we look at each one of these nuances, we dig in and think about what this means in terms of management, systems, processes, and some of those granular pieces. But I think that anything that we can do to help provide some context to these, I think we're always looking for ways to improve and communicate more effectively.
Definitely. And there's definitely some great, amazing grammar people on there. They catch everything, look at stuff from the and it's like, oh, why are there like 3 periods here? Or why are there like 5 words of the same? So it's a really great group to work with. They catch everything. We catch everything as a team. So thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
You were supposed to be up there. But I made note of that. So we can work together on that to put it into a background summary, kind of like what we do on the other stuff. It made sense. I got my asterisk, so my note taking. Leave the chicken scratch that I can understand.
And we motioned this stuff. The motion is already.
Any more? Are we good? Okay, we're good. Now we need roll call.
That's okay. There's one. Okay, that's what it's like. Oh, thing.
Yes,
Roll
I was
call.
at discussion.
Okay.
Now I'm bringing you back. It's roll call.
There we go.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Mrs. Alkire,
Yes.
Sliskany.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. All right, moving it along, I am turning it back to curriculum with Chelsea Alkire.
Thank you, President Peterson. We have 3 items for action tonight. The first one is the K-12 school fee schedule for the 2025-2026 school year. That's not the right fee. And the school fees are staying the same, with the exception, if you click on the attachment and look at that, there are 3 food courses that are going to be an additional $5 this upcoming school year. They are the 3 food classes that are offered at the high school level. Everything else will stay the same for right now. even the additional $5 per student doesn't necessarily cover everything that needs to be covered with the food courses, but it does help. So that was written in there. So it is recommended that the Southwestern City Schools District Board of Education approve the K through 12 school fee schedule for the 2026-2027 school year. The second item is the pay to participate fee schedule for also the 2026-2027 school year.
We stayed a year behind, as you said.
I got it.
You got it.
And if you look at that, that is also staying the same. And just a note about that, the family cap for $200. Families that are interested in getting the cap of $200 for activities do need to complete the family cap form to receive the $200 cap for activities. So just noting that. It is recommended that the Southwestern City School District Board of Education approve the attached pay to participate fee schedule for the 2026-2027 school year. And the third item is the recommendation for 2026 summer programming. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following plans for the 2025-2026 school year summer school programs. Basically, the high school folks, Grove City and Central Crossing, will report to Central Crossing. Franklin Heights goes to Heights. Westland goes to Westland. The Career Academy students will go to their home schools. And then it is free for the students unless they are taking a course for the first time to get it out of the way for the academic year. So that would be health and PE. They also are able to take their end of course exams if they are trying to get the course exams passed or taken a second time for graduation requirements. So those are offered at the end of the summer school sessions. I was trying to see if I can pull the dates. So the dates for the summer school are June 8th through the 26th. There is no transportation to go, but students are welcome to sign up to make up any credits that they need to. And then the end of course testing is the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And then following this, summer graduation is at Franklin Heights High School on August 13th at 6 p.m. After reviewing these items, I move them for board approval.
Can I get a second?
Second, Liskini.
Any discussion?
I do want to bring up a point under the fee schedule to think about, not obviously for this, but for next year, 27, 28. Thank you. Whatever year we're going to be in the next time. And that is thinking about a technology fee. Adding that into our fee schedule with since COVID, when we went one-to-one Chromebooks in the district, we have seen a significant increase in upkeep, repairs, all of those kinds of things with the technology. And so I just wanted to bring that up when we're talking about fiscal responsibility. And I just think that it's a huge, huge piece that we haven't really talked about before that we might want to think about and consider adding a technology fee on that fee schedule.
So not as like a replacement fee, just like for every student to help cover some of the costs for the damage and beating up.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we were to entertain that, I would like to have data on how much is actually being spent, specifically like above and beyond the replacement fee, for lost things, and how much out of regular, like I know sometimes the Southwestern Career Academy students are repairing the Chromebooks for the district. So above and beyond in-house wear and tear.
Yeah, other districts do it. Do other districts have technology fees?
Yes.
And it's not, I know with all of these, with all this conversation, I know we don't have the $20 anymore, the $10 anymore. I know it was found unlawful to charge like a tuition. Schools are kind of doing as tuition, which is again unlawful for a public school to do something like that. So I know that kind of weed its way out. But the fees like this, that's fine, right? Like it is okay to have
Technology fee be something that, I know some fees are depending on if like the students get free and reduced lunch, maybe the fees get waived for certain, maybe that's also something that would be considered for that.
Yeah, I think they're all
Yeah,
right.
you just still keep fee waivers in consideration with the tech fee.
And if, I mean, all of our students are expected, like, many don't have textbooks any longer because we have Chromebooks. So if they're expected to have, if their technology is their access to their curriculum that is to be provided by us, we would have to justify a fee to maintain that access. For example, I don't remember ever being charged a textbook fee to have a textbook replaced because, you know, it's no longer the USSR, it's now, you know, Russia, for example. So if we are expecting our students to use technology to receive their education, we'd have to make sure that we aren't charging them like a tuition to receive that education.
I look forward to that data, Ms. Liskini.
I think that'd be great.
Again, this is not a fee that's getting implemented now.
Right
I'm
now.
making sure I'm making it clear. We are not
Forget about-
implementing a tech fee right now. This is just discussion.
It's gonna be
Ever growing of,
2728.
that's right, technology is discussion and what called board
discussion.
That's right, board
Out in the
discussion.
open.
But I wanted to make it clear,
As long
we
as
are
that,
not increasing or putting a tech fee in place
Right.
for the record.
Do we have it listed, is it listed somewhere, how much the Chromebooks are in that, the Chromebook cord, the charging cord? What are they, what does that cost?
I paid for 2 of them.
I know, I was gonna say that charging cord.
We shall make sure you get all of the
I
costs.
need to see all that data,
All of that data, the
charging
cost for
cord, the protectors for it.
the technology.
How not to
About
vacuum
it,
over
yeah.
them.
I know there's like a jealousy thing though with the kids, like that one has, they have a touch screen, you don't have a touch screen. Yeah, well, it happens, as long as you're not sticking mechanical pencils in anything, you should be good to go. That was an awful phase. I knock on wood, I hope that phase is done.
Oh,
Is it done?
Reeling you guys back in.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Thank you for bringing that forward, Julie. Me and her had some discussion on it here and there, so I'm glad she remembered to bring that forward to share with the others. Anything else? All right, roll call.
Zelkar,
Yes.
Sliskini,
Yes.
D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Moving along, we are at facilities with Dr. Dillon.
So we have one item, a contract award to renovate the cosmetology lab at the Southwestern Career Academy. Whereas the Board of Education of Southwestern City School District advertised for competitive bids for the renovation of this lab. Whereas the contractors were requested to submit bids for the project, and they were received from 3 companies publicly opened and read on March 10th, 2026. And the apparent low bidder for the project is McHugh Construction LLC. Shore Architects, the consulting architect, has completed the post-bid review and has recommended that the board award the contract for the project to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, McHugh Construction. The total amount of $459,000 for the project and an additional $75,000 construction contingency set aside for unforeseen items and owner requested changes during construction. I move for this for approval.
Can I get a second? Any discussion?
Is this part of the permanent improvement funds?
Yes, this comes from permanent improvement funds is what Denise was asking. All righty, roll call.
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Zelkar,
Yes.
D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Sliskini,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Now we are turning it back to Chelsea Alkire for student, school, and community. Everybody.
Thank you, President Peterson. We have 6 items today. I do just want to make a note, so I don't forget, the Franklin Heights and JROTC dates have been moved. They previously were listed as May 8th through 10th, but it is now 9th through the 11th. I just want to make sure I don't forget that. So the first item is the membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 2026-2027 school year. Whereas the Southwestern City School District's Board of Education and its administration desire for the schools with 1 or more grades at the 7th through 12th grade level under their jurisdiction to be voluntary members of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Therefore, be it resolved by the Southwestern City Schools Board of Education that all the schools listed below do hereby voluntarily renew membership in the OHSAA, and that in doing so, the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, and business rules of the OHSAA are hereby adopted by this board and for its own minimum requirements as it pertains to, but not limited to, student eligibility, coaching requirements, and administrative responsibility. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the board reserves the right to raise the minimum standards as it deems appropriate for the schools and students under its jurisdiction. And be it further resolved that the schools under this board's jurisdiction agree to conduct their athletic programs in accordance with the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, business rules, interpretations, and decisions of the OHSAA, and cooperate fully and timely with the Executive Director's Office of the OHSAA in all matters related to interscholastic athletic programs of schools. Furthermore, the schools under the board's jurisdiction shall be the primary enforcers of the OHSAA Constitution, bylaws, regulations, business rules, and the interpretations and rulings rendered by Executive Director's Office. The administrative heads of these schools understand that failure to discharge the duty of primary enforcement may result in fines, removal from tournaments, suspension from membership, and/or such other penalties as prescribed in bylaw 11. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize 2026-27 membership in the OHSAA for Beulah Park, Finland, Jackson, Norton, and Pleasant View Middle Schools, and for Central Crossing, Franklin Heights, Grove City, and Westland High Schools. So no. The second one is Franklin Heights High School EF Tours 2027 to travel to Dominican Republic. For anybody who has not looked into EF Tours, they are an amazing opportunity. So I'm really excited to see how this one goes. But we are approving the Franklin Heights High School EF Tours 2027 group to go to the Dominican Republic. The trip is planned for the summer, June 9th through 14th. Students will miss 0 days of school. Approximately 12 students will be accompanied by 2 adult chaperones. Transportation will be by airplane and bus, and hotel accommodations will be made locally, and travel expenses will be paid by students, parents, and fundraising. Therefore, be it resolved that Southwestern City Schools Board of Education hereby authorizes the Franklin Heights High School EF Tours 2027 group to travel to Dominican Republic. The third item is the Grove City High School boys soccer team to travel to Ashland, Ohio. Whereas the Grove City High School boys soccer team has the opportunity to travel to Ashland, Ohio. The trip is planned for July 10th through 12th, 2026. The students will miss 0 days of school. It's in the summer.
You don't get more notice.
Not that keeping me on my toes today.
Right,
Don't manifest that.
July 10th through 12th, they will miss 0 days of school. It will be approximately 50 students with 3 adult chaperones. Transportation will be via charter bus and hotel accommodations locally. Trip expenses will be paid by students and parents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Southwestern City School District's Board of Education hereby authorizes the Grove City High School boys soccer team to travel to Ashland. The fourth item is the one with the date change. Franklin Heights High School NJROTC to travel to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. They will be traveling May 9th through 11th, 2026. Students will miss 1 day of school. It will be approximately 12 students, and I believe the 4 adult chaperones was changed to 2 adult chaperones. Transportation will be via 9-passenger van and hotel accommodation in a local hotel, and the trip expenses will be paid by NJROTC boosters. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Southwestern City Schools Board of Education hereby authorizes the Franklin Heights School NJROTC to travel to Gatlinburg. The fifth item is Central Crossing High School cross country team to travel to Geneva Hills, Ohio. August 1st through 4th, 2026, the students will miss 0 days of school. It will be approximately 30 students and 7 adult chaperones. And transportation will be via school bus and 9-passenger vans and the hotel accommodations in a local hotel. The trip will be paid for by parents, students, and fundraisers. And then the last guy on here is Franklin Heights High School NJROTC drone team to travel to Atlanta, Georgia. This is May 1st through 3rd, 2026. Students will miss 1 day of school. Approximately 4 students will have 1 adult chaperone. Transportation will be via airplane and hotel accommodations in a local hotel. And the trip will be paid by boosters and donors. Now therefore be it resolved that the Southwestern City Schools Board of Education hereby authorizes Franklin Heights High School and NJROTC drone teams to travel to Atlanta, Georgia. After reviewing these items, I move them for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second, D'Angelo Steele.
Any discussion?
I have a question, and this is probably due to my naivete, but I would assume that the EF tours include some form of travel insurance so that if given the state of the world decides to go in a different direction, that these students would get their money back if there were travel advisories to the Dominican.
From what I've seen when I've looked into it, yes.
I meant to give a shout out before we're talking about policies, because there's an OSHA policy out there that we kind of talked about with the cheerleading. Super excited that cheerleaders are recognized as athletes or in a certain way from OSHA. So really excited for that. And that's one reason why we're able to bring in all the new sports to Southwest too. So shout out to them. I meant to do that earlier. It's really, so I'm more accepting of their membership this time than I was before. I was pretty bitter a couple years ago. Do you need a second? You got
Any other questions? Look, we got the second. You can do roll call.
Mrs. Elkhart.
Yeah.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Dr. Dillon.
Yes.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. Now we are gonna turn over to Vice President Julie Liskini for personnel.
Thank you, President Peterson. This evening, under personnel, there are 8 action items involving 236 persons, 18 certificated and administrative resignations or retirements, 1 administrative employment, 6 certificated changes in employment, 125 certificated employments, 88 of those are supplementals, 21 classified resignations, 14 classified changes in employment, and 49 classified employments. There is an authorization to direct the treasurer to issue a public notice regarding a retiree. It is recommended that the Board of Education authorize and direct the treasurer to place a notice in the Columbus Dispatch no later than March 27th, 2026, which will read substantially as follows. The Southwestern City School Board of Education hereby gives public notice in accordance with section 3309.345 of the Ohio Revised Code that the following employees who are currently employed by the board in the position indicated will be retired and seeking reemployment with the board in the same position following their service retirement. The first is Pamela Gillespie, and the second is Cindy Schultz, both of which are bus drivers for our district. The Board of Education will hold a public meeting on the issue of reemploying the above named persons at a meeting to be held on May 18th, 2026 at the District Service Center, 3805 Marlane Drive, Grove City, Ohio. Over the next several weeks, the HR department will be recruiting at Bowling Green, Toledo, Findlay, Ohio State, and Ohio University. The district will be hosting a transportation hiring event on this coming Saturday, March 21st, from 12 to 3 p.m. at the transportation department. So if you know of anybody, send them over there, please. And as you know, we are always actively hiring. Our biggest challenges right now are substitute aides and substitute custodians to help us get through the end of the year. And we are also in need of preschool and special education aides. If you know of anyone who's interested, please send them to our careers tab at swcfd.us. After reviewing all of these items, I move them for approval.
Can I get a second?
Second, Dillon.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Mrs. Alcar,
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. Alrighty, we're coming down the home stretch. Now we are moving to public participation. And our first signer for that is Bob Ruth.
My name is Bob Ruth, 4744 Count Fleet Drive, Grove City. I have a question for Mrs. D'Angelo Steele and Ms. Liskini. What do you have against public education and the overburdened taxpayers of our Southwestern School District? As members of a public school board, you too should be supporting public education. Too often you have taken stands against the interests of public education and our overburdened taxpayers. The latest example came last month when both of you voted in favor of continuing the district's shameful membership in the National School Board's Leadership Council. On its website, this extremist far-right organization repeatedly sings the praises of private, religious, and charter schools while criticizing our public schools. And in Ohio, that means spending $1 billion a year, that's B as in boy, in taxpayer money for a voucher program that hands millionaire parents thousands of tax dollars each year to send their children to elite private schools. Millionaires and billionaires do not need our tax dollars to help finance their kids' private school tuitions. On its website, the council criticizes public school tax levies for, quote, constantly bombarding the public with requests for money. Yet nowhere on its website does it criticize our anti-public school state legislature for shifting $1 billion a year in taxpayer aid from public schools like Southwestern to private, religious, and charter schools. And nowhere on its website does it note that this $1 billion a year in lost state aid forces public school districts to ask homeowners for higher property tax levies more often. Just recently, Southwestern school officials hinted at the need for a new levy, citing shortfalls in state aid as a major reason. The state's anti-public education voucher program is filled with taxpayer ripoffs. But probably the worst outrage is a gem called the Dropout Recovery Charter School Program. Taxpayer-financed charter schools in this program have to graduate only 8% of their seniors to continue getting taxpayer money. That's right. An 8% graduation rate is okay for charter school program that costs taxpayers almost $300 million a biennium. And remember, this is money that does not go to public schools like Southwestern. But nothing, absolutely nothing about this gigantic tax ripoff is mentioned in the council's website. And there's more. This website last month featured an interview with a private school advocate who characterized our public schools as, quote, indoctrination camps. He repeatedly lavished praise on private Christian schools and homeschooling while denigrating public education. Yet this is the kind of extremist anti-public education organizations that you two want Southwestern School Board to support. By the way, I see where Mrs. D'Angelo Steele is running for this year for the Ohio House of Representatives. Mrs. D'Angelo Steele, you obviously would be far more comfortable in the state legislature where you can join your fellow anti-public education zealots in voting to increase taxpayer aid to private, religious, and charter schools, while leaving the rest of us in the lurch. Thank you.
Moving along to our next public participant speaker, Terry Jones.
Okay, good to see everybody again this evening. And this evening I'm using for my topic, the Great Commission, found in Matthew 28, 18 through 20, and Mark 16 and 15. A mandate from Christ for true Christians everywhere to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Wait a minute here, okay. The purpose for preaching the gospel is to lead people from a life of sin and uncertainty to an abundant life of hope and reconciliation to God through Jesus Christ. For many, each day is filled with its own unique troubles and uncertainties, especially in these times of anxiety. Many people, both young and old, are feeling pressed under the weight of worry over what an uncertain future may hold for them. There is also an unsettled feeling over all the various conflicts and recent news events and the political battles, and not leaving unmentioned all the personal struggles that people contend with on a daily basis. Countless are mentally exhausted and emotionally drained. Dark spiritual forces seem to be in control most of the time. The Bible says in Ephesians 6:12 that we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And you see its influence all across our nation, the rage, the hate, the violence. Many feel beaten down because they're separated from God and peace has eluded them. Yet through all the fear and uncertainty in these perilous times, there is hope for a bright and positive future in Jesus Christ. Jesus said in John 16:33, "These things have I spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." Jesus said again in John 10:10, that he has come that we might have life and have it more abundantly, an abundant and victorious life over sin, fear, and uncertainty through a new spiritual birth of confidence and hope, of courage and purpose, of love, joy, and peace, and of life eternal through Jesus Christ, who is the hope of our resurrection. Only Christ can bear the weight we carry and give peace in the midst of trouble. The Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Matthew 11:28 through 30, Jesus offers this invitation with promise. "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And in closing, I'd like to leave you with these three things. Christ will never leave you. You can ask him anything. Listen only to his voice. And with that, I turn it back over to the board.
Next on our agenda is items for discussion. Do we have any?
I have a couple shout outs if I could.
Okay.
Thank you. It's exciting times here in Southwestern with all the new spring sports that are happening right now this week and next week. Super excited to be a part of this board that approved girls bowling and lacrosse last year, and boys bowling, lacrosse, and volleyball starting this year. So we are providing amazing opportunities for our young students, and with that also comes some added work and responsibility for all of our athletic directors and principals, and thank you to Dr. Shuey for overseeing all that and all the extra work and effort that you're putting in as well. It's much appreciated, and great things are happening out there for our students. So thank you for that. Two other things real quick. Just wanted to mention Galloway Ridge Intermediate School. They do not have an active PTA. They do not have active PTA officers. for the first time at that building. And so when I spoke with them last week, I said, hey, I'm going to give a shout out at our board meeting. The Council of PTAs is working to build a leadership team there. So if you know folks that attend that building that want to join the PTA and become officers there, it would be greatly appreciated. They provide all the training and the guidance for their volunteers. And then last, Central Crossing High School is hosting a Glow Crazy event this Friday night. It's just a way to bring community together to celebrate all of their spring athletes. So this Friday, 320, gates open at 6:30. They'll be hosting fun activities, selling their spirit wear. Their concession stand will be open, and it's, again, all to support their spring athletes. So check out Central Crossing on Friday night. That's it.
I just wanted to say too, for everyone who's here or listening, that we do have all of the high school musicals coming up. So those start the 20th and go through the 12th. Each school has a really great performance going on. I'm going to try to go to all of them. I don't know if it's going to work out, but so I just wanted to shout those out. And then also, since we are not meeting for so long, Ramadan ends this week. So happy Eid to everybody that's going to be celebrating Eid, and then happy Easter to everybody.
The games are at Grove City this weekend. Is that kind of kickoff for the bazaars and everything? Of course, City Games this weekend. Every school has one, right? A bazaar of some sort.
No,
Not Grove City's one that does one.
Specifically, it's the marching band. Yeah, the marching band.
Yeah, the first one. Well, I thought nobody used to do one, but there's no school different.
Franklin Heights has one that is in conjunction with their Winter Guard, hosting of the OIPA Winter Guard. And Central has one whenever they host OIPA as well, the Winter Guard. But this has been going on since the 70s. So, and I'm a band booster. We'd really like to surpass our fundraising goal. So you can get your early tickets on the website. You should definitely check your coat. There's also a little coin. Still just $1. Still just $1. It's the cheapest coat check in our district. And I myself will be there as a vendor, but I hope that you come and steal one of our one of our apple dumplings, which definitely go pretty quickly.
Parking lot packed.
Shout out to Denise.
Anything else to share?
A lot of stuff to do this week.
A lot of stuff to do, and hopefully we don't get blown away by the wind. Moving along, it is recommended that the Board of Education adjourn to executive session according to policy 0166 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee, to review security arrangements and emergency response protocols for the school system. Can I get a motion?
So move, Dylan.
Can I get a second? Roll call.
Dr. Dillon,
Yes.
Mrs. Alcar,
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Seal,
Yes.
Siskiny,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes. We will be going to executive session. There will not be any additional items after that. So please feel free to enjoy your evening and safely get home.
Thank you.